What if a man who has redefined technology and space exploration suddenly found himself standing in the heart of one of the oldest and most mysterious institutions on Earth, the Vatican? What secrets could possibly lie hidden behind its ancient walls that would shock the powerful cardinals who govern it? Elon Musk, the visionary entrepreneur known for pushing humanity toward the stars, was about to find out. The invitation came unexpectedly, wrapped in both intrigue and caution. An official letter, embossed with the Vatican seal, summoned Elon to Rome for a private visit unlike any before. The world was buzzing with speculation. What was the Vatican's interest in a man who dreamed of colonizing Mars and developing artificial intelligence? On a crisp spring morning, Elon stepped off the private jet onto the tarmac near Rome, the weight of history and expectation pressing in on him. He glanced up at the towering spires of St. Peter's Basilica, an architectural marvel that had stood for centuries. To Elon, it was a symbol of endurance, faith, and mystery. As his motorcade wound through the cobbled streets toward the Vatican gates, his mind raced with questions. Would this be a meeting of minds or a collision of worlds? Inside the vast halls of the Vatican, the cardinals gathered with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. Whispers echoed through marble corridors about what Elon Musk might uncover. Some believed his presence was a threat to sacred traditions, others saw an opportunity to bridge ancient wisdom with cutting-edge technology. The tension was palpable as Elon arrived at the Apostolic Palace. He was greeted by Cardinal Roberto, a figure both stern and thoughtful, who escorted him through corridors adorned with priceless art and centuries of history. Elon's curiosity burned brighter with each step. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Elon mused silently, recalling the many times his own resilience had carried him through setbacks. This visit was unlike any other. As the door to the private audience chamber opened, Elon found himself face to face with a gathering of cardinals, their faces lined with age and wisdom. The room was silent except for the faint sound of his footsteps on the polished marble floor. The air was thick with anticipation. Elon knew that what he was about to discover here could challenge everything he believed, or everything the Vatican stood for. The first moments were formal and cautious, words exchanged carefully like chess moves in a high-stakes game. But beneath the surface, Elon sensed something deeper, a secret waiting to be revealed. What no one outside these walls knew was that the Vatican held archives filled with knowledge centuries ahead of its time, documents and artifacts that blurred the lines between faith and science. Elon, with his relentless pursuit of innovation, was about to step into a world few had ever glimpsed. The tension in the room grew as the cardinals debated whether to show him what they called the key to humanity's future. Elon's mind flashed back to his childhood, moments of isolation, the sting of being different, the drive to create something meaningful. This visit was personal, a crossroads where his past and future collided. As he waited, a strange object was brought out, wrapped in velvet, and placed on the table. Elon's eyes locked onto it, a device unlike anything he'd ever seen, emitting a faint, almost imperceptible hum. The room held its breath. The cardinals exchanged uneasy glances. Elon reached out slowly, feeling the weight of history and possibility in his hands. What was this? And what did it mean for humanity? This was the moment when everything changed. The unexpected was about to unfold. The secrets of the Vatican, the ambitions of a man from the future, and the hopes of an entire world converged in this one room. The story of Elon Musk's visit was just beginning, and it would challenge the boundaries of faith, science, and the human spirit. Stay with me as we dive deeper into this extraordinary journey, because sometimes, the greatest discoveries happen when worlds collide in the most unexpected ways. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Elon Musk's story began far from the marble halls of the Vatican, in a small town called Pretoria, South Africa, where a curious boy grew up fascinated by the possibilities of the future. From a young age, Elon displayed an insatiable hunger for knowledge, devouring books on physics, space, and computer programming. His childhood was marked by moments of brilliance but also by hardship. He endured bullying at school, often feeling isolated and misunderstood. These early challenges shaped a man determined to push boundaries and prove that nothing was impossible. Elon's parents, May and Elon Musk, had complex relationships with their son. May, a model and dietitian, encouraged his intellectual pursuits, nurturing his dreams with quiet support. Errol, an engineer and pilot, sparked Elon's early interest in technology and adventure, but their relationship was often strained and distant. These family dynamics left Elon with a deep desire to forge his own path and create something lasting. As a teenager, Elon immersed himself in technology. At 12, he taught himself computer programming and sold a video game called Blaster for $500. His early successes fueled his ambition, but the young man was restless. He dreamed not just of success on Earth, but of reaching the stars. At 17, Elon left South Africa for Canada, seeking greater opportunities and freedom. The journey was lonely, filled with moments of self-doubt and uncertainty, but it was also the first step toward his vision of changing the world. College years at Queen's University and later the University of Pennsylvania introduced Elon to new ideas and people who would shape his future. He was relentless in his studies, double majoring in physics and economics, fields that would underpin his future ventures. But life was not easy. Elon struggled with social interactions and faced skepticism from peers and professors who couldn't quite grasp the scope of his ambitions. After university, Elon plunged into the tech boom of the 1990s. His first company, Zip2, provided online city guides and was eventually sold for nearly $300 million. This success was just the beginning. Elon co-founded X.com, which later became PayPal, revolutionizing online payments. Yet, even amid financial success, Elon felt the weight of expectation and isolation. His relentless drive led to intense work hours and personal sacrifices, including a difficult divorce and strained relationships with close friends. The launch of SpaceX in 2002 marked a turning point. Elon poured his fortune into building rockets capable of reaching Mars. The failures that followed were brutal. Rockets exploded, funding ran low, and many doubted his vision. Yet Elon's resilience never wavered. He was driven not just by business goals, but by a profound belief in humanity's destiny among the stars. Tesla came next, a company that challenged the automobile industry with electric vehicles and renewable energy. Again, Elon faced criticism, production delays, and financial peril. His personal life, too, was tumultuous, with public scrutiny and heartbreaks adding to the pressure. Yet each failure only fueled his determination. Behind the headlines, Elon was a man wrestling with deep questions about purpose, faith, and the meaning of progress. His fascination with artificial intelligence, neural networks, and sustainable energy reflected a desire to protect humanity's future. Yet, he remained skeptical about organized religion, seeing faith and science as often in conflict. When the invitation to the Vatican arrived, it stirred something unexpected in Elon. It wasn't just a chance to meet the world's most powerful religious leaders, it was an opportunity to confront his own beliefs and fears. He wondered what wisdom, if any, this ancient institution might hold for a man dedicated to pushing the frontiers of technology. At the Vatican, Elon met Cardinal Roberto, a man who represented a new generation within the Church. Roberto was not just a custodian of tradition but a thinker open to dialogue between faith and science. He shared with Elon stories of the Vatican's hidden archives, where ancient manuscripts hinted at knowledge far beyond what most people imagined. Elon was intrigued but cautious. He had seen how history was often rewritten to suit power, and he was wary of secrets that could be dangerous if misunderstood. Still, the deeper he delved into the Vatican's mysteries, the more he realized that this place was not just a relic of the past. It was a living institution grappling with the same questions about humanity's future that obsessed him. Elon's relationship with Cardinal Roberto grew, shifting from formal politeness to genuine respect and friendship. Together, they discussed everything from ethics in AI to the moral responsibility of space exploration. Elon found himself opening up about his fears, the loneliness of leadership, the burden of vision, and the fragile hope that drove him onward. In private moments, Elon reflected on his upbringing and the lessons he had learned from his family. He thought about his mother's quiet strength and his father's adventurous spirit, both imprinted on his DNA. He saw his own journey as part of a larger story, a story about humanity's search for meaning in an uncertain universe. Yet, even as Elon connected with these ideas, he was aware of the tensions lurking beneath the surface. Not all in the Vatican welcomed his presence. Conservative cardinals viewed his visit with suspicion, worried that technology could undermine faith or diminish the Church's authority. Rumors spread that some sought to discredit Elon or block access to certain knowledge. Elon was no stranger to opposition, but here it felt different, rooted in centuries of tradition and belief, harder to challenge than any boardroom rival. He steeled himself for what lay ahead, determined to keep an open mind and push forward. One day, during a tour of the Vatican's archives, Elon stumbled upon a curious artifact, a small metallic object with intricate engravings that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. It was unlike anything he had seen in his years of exploring advanced technology. The cardinals who guarded it spoke in hushed tones, hinting at its importance but refusing to explain further. Elon felt a surge of excitement mixed with caution. What if this object held clues to the very questions he wrestled with? The origins of humanity, the connection between science and spirit. Over the following days, Elon's discovery became a focal point of debate within the Vatican. Some cardinals saw the potential for a new era of understanding, others feared it could unravel deeply held beliefs. Elon was caught in the middle, navigating a complex web of politics, faith, and science. His resolve deepened as he realized that this visit was not just about uncovering secrets but about forging a path forward. Elon's personal reflections grew richer and more complex. He thought about his own doubts and the moments when hope had carried him through failure. He remembered his mother's words about perseverance and the idea that progress required both courage and humility. This visit was challenging everything he thought he knew about himself and the world. The line between faith and reason blurred, and Elon found himself searching for answers in unexpected places. As the days passed, Elon prepared for what he sensed would be the most important moment of his visit. A private audience with the Pope himself. He knew this meeting could shape the future not just of the Vatican or SpaceX but of humanity's journey toward the stars. Elon's story was no longer just about rockets or electric cars, it was about hope, faith, and the power of human curiosity to transcend boundaries. He understood that the greatest discoveries often came from embracing uncertainty and daring to ask the hardest questions. In this crucible of history and innovation, Elon Musk was about to face the ultimate test of his vision and courage. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Elon Musk's invitation to the Vatican stirred a storm beneath the polished marble floors and ancient frescoes, igniting conflicts that had long been simmering within the church's walls. The cardinals, guardians of centuries-old traditions, found themselves divided as never before. Some viewed Elon as a herald of progress, a bridge between the sacred and the scientific, while others saw him as a disruptive force threatening to unravel the fragile fabric of faith that held the institution together. The first days of Elon's visit were marked by subtle tensions and whispered debates. In grand halls lined with priceless tapestries and relics, conversations swirled about the implications of the technological marvels Elon represented. His vision of colonizing Mars and advancing artificial intelligence challenged deeply rooted doctrines about humanity's place in the universe. During formal meetings, Elon faced cautious scrutiny. Cardinals questioned the ethics of artificial intelligence, the morality of altering human genetics, and the spiritual consequences of venturing beyond Earth. Some asked if such pursuits risked playing God, a blasphemy in their eyes. Elon listened carefully, his responses measured but firm. He spoke of responsibility, of using technology to solve pressing earthly problems, climate change, poverty, disease, and of inspiring hope for future generations. Yet, the skepticism lingered. Behind closed doors, opposition grew fiercer. Traditionalists worried that embracing science so openly could erode the Church's authority and alienate believers. Rumors circulated about secret factions plotting to limit Elon's access to the Vatican's most guarded knowledge. Elon, however, was no stranger to resistance. He had faced critics and naysayers at every turn, investors who doubted his vision, engineers who warned of failure, the media that often mocked his ambitions. Yet the intensity of this opposition felt different, rooted in centuries of belief and a fear of change so deep it seemed immovable. Amid this rising conflict, Elon found an unexpected source of support in Cardinal Roberto, the young progressive cleric who had initially welcomed him. Roberto believed that the future required dialogue between faith and science, not division. He shared stories of the Vatican's efforts to engage with the modern world, scientific conferences hosted in papal gardens, theologians debating the moral implications of technology, and secret projects exploring the intersections of spirituality and quantum physics. With Roberto's guidance, Elon began to navigate the complex landscape of Vatican politics. He learned to read the subtle cues, the meaning behind gestures and phrases, and to recognize allies hidden among skeptics. Their conversations grew deeper, blending philosophy, ethics, and vision. Elon confided his own doubts about faith and purpose, the loneliness that accompanied his relentless drive, and the paradox of believing in science while searching for something greater. The progressive cardinal challenged Elon to consider that faith and science might be two sides of the same coin, different languages attempting to describe the same mystery of existence. But this hope was fragile. The old guard resisted with increasing fervor. Meetings became battlegrounds where accusations flew, warnings that secrets should remain hidden, claims that Elon's ideas would lead humanity astray. The Vatican's centuries-old secrecy clashed violently with Elon's ethos of transparency and innovation. At one heated gathering, a cardinal slammed his hand on the table, declaring that some knowledge was too dangerous for the world. Elon responded calmly but passionately, arguing that fear should not dictate the future, that humanity's progress depended on courage and curiosity. This clash of worldviews set the stage for moments of despair and hope, the climax rhythm that defined Elon's journey through the Vatican. When the weight of opposition threatened to crush his spirit, moments of unexpected kindness and understanding rekindled his resolve. In one memorable afternoon, Elon walked through the Vatican gardens with Roberto, discussing the profound loneliness of leadership and the burden of vision. Roberto shared a personal story about his own struggles with doubt and faith, reminding Elon that even the strongest find solace in vulnerability. These exchanges deepened their bond and gave Elon fresh strength to face the coming challenges. The turning point came when Elon was granted access to parts of the Vatican normally forbidden to outsiders, the ancient archives buried beneath layers of stone and secrecy. There, in dimly lit rooms lined with shelves of dusty manuscripts, Elon encountered a treasure trove of knowledge that blurred the boundaries between myth, history, and science. As he pored over texts that hinted at advanced civilizations, lost technologies, and metaphysical insights, Elon's mind raced with possibilities. What if the Vatican held answers not just to spiritual questions but to the origins and destiny of humanity itself? Yet, this revelation only deepened the conflict. Conservative factions argued fiercely that such knowledge could undermine the Church's teachings and threaten global stability. Elon found himself caught between the promise of discovery and the peril of controversy. As tensions escalated, the narrative shifted into a series of dramatic encounters, debates that pushed Elon to articulate his vision not just as an entrepreneur but as a seeker of truth. He argued that faith should not fear science, nor should science dismiss spirituality. Both, he insisted, must work together to guide humanity through an era of unprecedented change. The Vatican, a symbol of enduring tradition, was wrestling with a future defined by rockets, AI, and bioengineering. Elon's presence catalyzed this struggle, forcing the cardinals to confront their own fears and hopes. Behind the scenes, Elon also grappled with his internal conflicts. Memories of his childhood bullying, moments of professional failure, and personal heartbreak surfaced as he navigated this unfamiliar world. The stakes felt higher here, not just for his companies or his vision, but for the very meaning of progress and human destiny. He questioned whether his relentless pursuit of innovation had blinded him to deeper truths. Throughout this chapter of rising conflict, vivid scenes unfolded, the grandeur of Vatican halls, the quiet tension of secret meetings, the hushed whispers of conspiracies, and the flicker of hope in unlikely friendships. Elon's emotions, frustration, determination, loneliness, and emerging faith, were palpable in every interaction. The story alternated between moments of confrontation and connection, reflecting the complex dance between old and new, doubt and belief, fear and hope. As the days progressed, Elon prepared for the most crucial part of his visit, a journey into the Vatican's secret tunnels, where ancient mysteries awaited and the line between myth and reality blurred. He knew that whatever he discovered there could shift the trajectory of not just his own life but the future of humanity. The tension built to a crescendo as Elon, escorted by a small group of trusted allies, descended into the labyrinth beneath the Vatican. The air was thick with history and uncertainty. Echoes of footsteps bounced off cold stone walls, and faint inscriptions glowed with mysterious energy. It was here that the story promised its first true climax, a revelation that would shock the Cardinals and challenge everything Elon thought he knew. In this crucible of faith and science, the rising conflict reached its peak, setting the stage for a journey that would test courage, spark hope, and demand sacrifice. What Elon found in those tunnels was not just an artifact or a secret manuscript, it was a challenge to humanity's understanding of itself, a call to unite belief and innovation in pursuit of a greater destiny. This chapter marked the moment when Elon Musk's visit to the Vatican became more than a meeting of worlds, it became a catalyst for transformation that neither the Church nor the world could ignore. The rising conflict was far from over, but hope flickered in the shadows, promising that even the deepest divisions could be bridged by courage and vision. The stage was set for an extraordinary journey, one that would test hearts, minds, and souls in the quest to uncover the future hidden within the past. Elon Musk's descent into the Vatican's secret tunnels marked the beginning of a climactic journey that would push the boundaries of faith, science, and human understanding. The narrow passageways wound deep beneath the ancient city, far from the grandeur above, where whispers of history clung to the cold stone like shadows. As Elon moved through the labyrinth with a small group of trusted aides and Cardinal Roberto, his mind raced with anticipation and unease. The air grew cooler, thick with the scent of old stone and dust. Faint flickers of torchlight illuminated walls etched with cryptic symbols and faded frescoes that seemed to tell stories forgotten by time. The silence was broken only by the soft footsteps echoing through the tunnels and the occasional whispered exchange between the group. Elon's heart pounded with the thrill of discovery but also with the weight of responsibility. This was more than a physical journey, it was a passage into the unknown realms of history and belief. As they ventured deeper, Elon marveled at the intricate craftsmanship of the ancient builders. The tunnels formed a vast network, connecting chambers filled with relics, manuscripts, and artifacts collected over centuries. Some objects defied explanation, shimmering crystals, mechanical devices of unknown origin, and ancient texts written in languages lost to modern scholars. Cardinal Roberto explained that these tunnels had been hidden for centuries, accessible only to a select few entrusted with safeguarding humanity's most profound secrets. The Vatican's archives, he said, contained knowledge that challenged conventional history and theology, bridging the realms of science, spirituality, and mystery. Elon listened intently, sensing that this revelation could redefine everything humanity thought it knew about its origins and destiny. Suddenly, they arrived at a large chamber, its walls covered in intricate mosaics depicting celestial scenes, stars, planets, and what appeared to be spacecraft soaring through the cosmos. In the center of the room stood an altar-like structure, upon which rested a mysterious object wrapped in a silken cloth. The cardinals surrounding Elon exchanged uneasy glances before carefully unveiling the artifact. Elon's eyes widened as he took in the sight, a small, spherical device made of an unknown metal, glowing faintly with an inner light. It hummed softly, resonating with a frequency that seemed almost alive. The room felt charged with energy, and Elon instinctively reached out to touch the sphere. As his fingers brushed its surface, a wave of images and sensations flooded his mind, visions of distant galaxies, ancient civilizations, and a profound connection between humanity and the cosmos. He saw glimpses of advanced technology intertwined with spiritual symbols, a harmony between science and faith that transcended time. The Cardinals watched in awe as Elon experienced what they called the awakening, a moment when the sphere revealed its secrets to those deemed worthy. The device, they explained, was a relic from an ancient civilization that had mastered both technology and spirituality. A civilization that had guided humanity's development from the shadows. Elon struggled to process the enormity of the revelation. This was not just an artifact, it was a key to understanding humanity's place in the universe and a challenge to the dichotomy between faith and reason that had defined so much of human history. The implications were staggering. If what the sphere represented was true, then religion and science were not opposing forces but complementary threads woven into the fabric of existence. The Cardinals shared stories of past custodians who had protected the sphere, ensuring its power was not misused. They spoke of a prophecy that foretold a time when humanity would stand at a crossroads, needing to unite its spiritual heritage with its technological potential to survive the challenges ahead. Elon realized that this moment was that prophecy's fulfillment. Yet, the journey was far from over. The sphere's revelations brought new dangers. Conservative factions within the Vatican, fearful of losing control, intensified their efforts to suppress the knowledge. Outside the Church, global powers grew anxious about the implications of such technology and the potential shift in human consciousness it represented. Elon found himself navigating a labyrinth not only of stone corridors but of political intrigue and spiritual awakening. His allies were few but steadfast. Together, they devised a plan to share the sphere's knowledge responsibly, balancing transparency with caution to prevent chaos. Elon also wrestled with the personal impact of the awakening. The visions stirred deep emotions, hope, fear, and a renewed sense of purpose. He saw reflections of his own struggles in the ancient stories, understanding that his mission to push humanity forward was part of a timeless journey. The tunnel's exit led them to a hidden garden beneath the Vatican, bathed in soft moonlight filtering through an ancient glass ceiling. Here, Elon and Cardinal Roberto paused to reflect on the path ahead. The garden symbolized the meeting of earth and sky, tradition and innovation, faith and reason. Elon felt a profound connection to this place, a reminder that progress required roots as much as wings. As dawn approached, Elon prepared to return to the surface world, carrying with him the weight of discovery and the hope of transformation. The journey through the tunnels had changed him, revealing that the future was not a distant dream but a shared responsibility. The climactic journey underscored the story's core themes: the power of curiosity, the necessity of courage, and the possibility of unity in a divided world. Elon's adventure had become a metaphor for humanity's broader quest, to reconcile differences, embrace mystery, and boldly step into the unknown with faith and reason as guides. The Vatican, once seen as a fortress of tradition, emerged as a beacon of potential, ready to engage with the challenges of a new era. Elon's role was no longer just that of an innovator but of a bridge builder, tasked with inspiring dialogue and understanding across divides. The climax of this chapter set the stage for even greater revelations and tests ahead, as Elon faced not only external opposition but internal transformation. The emotional journey had just begun, promising moments of profound shock and hope that would redefine everything the world thought possible. Elon Musk stood in the dim glow of the Vatican's hidden chamber, the mysterious sphere resting quietly in his hands. The artifact's faint light pulsed gently, as if alive, reflecting a universe of secrets long kept beneath the ancient city. The moment marked a profound emotional climax, not only for Elon but for the Cardinals who had guarded this relic for centuries. The revelation that such an object existed, and that it held knowledge beyond human comprehension, sent a ripple of shock through the gathered clergy. Elon's mind swirled with questions and emotions. How could this ancient technology have survived untouched for millennia? What truths about humanity's origins and destiny did it contain? Could faith and science truly be reconciled through this discovery? As the reality settled, a tense silence filled the room. Then Cardinal Roberto broke it with a voice both solemn and hopeful. "This is not merely an artifact," he said. "It is a testament to the unity of all things. The divine and the scientific, the past and the future. But it is also a great responsibility. How we choose to use this knowledge will shape the fate of humanity." Elon felt the weight of those words deeply. For years, he had chased dreams of innovation and exploration, driven by logic and science. Yet here, confronted with the mystery of the sphere, he sensed a larger narrative unfolding, a story that embraced wonder as much as reason. The cardinals debated fiercely over the next steps. Some urged secrecy, fearing the world was not ready for such knowledge, that it could lead to chaos or heresy. Others, inspired by Elon's vision, called for openness, believing that humanity's survival depended on embracing both faith and innovation. Elon found himself in the center of this moral storm, challenged to balance his pioneering spirit with the delicate traditions of the Vatican. As the emotional climax surged, Elon experienced his own internal conflict. Memories of his youth, his relentless quest for progress, and his moments of doubt and loneliness flooded back. He realized that this journey was as much about self-discovery as about unveiling secrets. The sphere's light seemed to reach inside him, illuminating fears and hopes he had long buried. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Elon confided in Cardinal Roberto about the loneliness of leadership, the pressure of expectations, and the fear of failure. Roberto listened with compassion, reminding him that courage often meant embracing uncertainty and trusting in something greater than oneself. The atmosphere shifted as a fragile hope took root amid the tension. Elon and the cardinals agreed to form a council dedicated to responsibly studying the sphere and its teachings. This council would include scientists, theologians, ethicists, and visionaries from around the world, blending perspectives to guide humanity's next steps. Yet, just as hope blossomed, a new crisis erupted. News leaked to the outside world about Elon's Vatican visit and the mysterious artifact. Media frenzy ensued, governments expressed concern, and powerful entities sought to control the knowledge for their own ends. Elon faced threats, pressure, and attempts to discredit him. The Vatican itself became a battleground between tradition and progress, secrecy and transparency. The emotional climax reached its peak as Elon confronted these external attacks while grappling with his own doubts. He questioned whether humanity was ready for such revelations, whether the light of knowledge could withstand the darkness of fear and greed. But amid the turmoil, Elon found renewed strength. He remembered the lessons from his past, the resilience born of hardship, the drive to push forward despite setbacks, and the belief that progress was worth the risk. In a powerful moment, Elon addressed the world from the Vatican's steps, calling for unity, courage, and hope. He spoke not just as a technologist but as a human being, urging people to embrace the unknown with open hearts and minds. The response was mixed but profound. Some were inspired, others fearful, but the conversation had begun. The emotional climax thus became a turning point, a catalyst for transformation on a global scale. Behind the scenes, Elon continued his work with the Council, exploring the sphere's mysteries and integrating its wisdom into his projects. He envisioned a future where technology and spirituality worked hand in hand to solve humanity's greatest challenges: climate change, space colonization, artificial intelligence ethics, and beyond. The emotional resonance of this chapter lay in its portrayal of human complexity, fear and hope, doubt and faith, conflict and connection. Elon's journey mirrored a universal struggle to find meaning amid change and uncertainty. The vivid descriptions of the Vatican's hidden chambers, the glowing sphere, and the tense debates brought the story to life, immersing readers in the drama. The interplay of characters, Elon, Cardinal Roberto, and the divided cardinals, highlighted the tensions and possibilities of bridging worlds. As this chapter closed, the narrative promised further revelations and challenges. The emotional climax had shaken the foundations but also opened a path toward resolution. Elon's transformation was underway, from a driven entrepreneur to a visionary leader embracing both science and spirituality. The stage was set for the story's final arc, where lessons would be learned, sacrifices made, and hope renewed. This climax was not an end but a beginning, a testament to the power of curiosity, courage, and love to illuminate even the darkest mysteries of existence. Elon Musk stood at the threshold of a new dawn, his visit to the Vatican having unraveled mysteries that stretched the limits of human understanding and belief. As the days passed, the initial shock waves of revelation gave way to a profound process of reflection and resolution. The hidden sphere, once a symbol of conflict and division, now became a beacon of possibility, a bridge between the sacred traditions of the past and the boundless potential of the future. Elon's experiences had transformed him, not only as a visionary entrepreneur but as a seeker of deeper truths about love, family, and sacrifice. The Vatican, too, began to evolve. The Cardinals who had once viewed Elon as an outsider now saw in him a catalyst for renewal. The secret council formed to study the sphere expanded its mission beyond mere guardianship. They embraced a new philosophy, one that welcomed dialogue between faith and science, reason and spirit. Conferences were organized, bringing together theologians, scientists, ethicists, and artists to explore humanity's greatest questions from diverse perspectives. In these gatherings, Elon found a surprising sense of belonging. He shared his vision of a future where technology could heal the planet, elevate human consciousness, and unite people across divides. The Church offered wisdom on compassion, sacrifice, and the mysteries of the soul. Together, they crafted a roadmap for progress that honored both innovation and tradition. Yet, the journey toward resolution was not without challenges. Skeptics remained, both inside and outside the Vatican. Political powers feared losing control, religious conservatives worried about losing faith's purity, and scientists debated the ethical implications of the newfound knowledge. Elon confronted these challenges with the same tenacity that had fueled his earlier ventures. He knew that true progress required patience, humility, and the willingness to listen and learn. Amid these external struggles, Elon also underwent a profound personal transformation. The loneliness and pressure that had once weighed heavily on him softened as he embraced the support of new relationships forged in the crucible of this experience. He reconnected with his estranged family, finding forgiveness and understanding. The memory of his childhood hardships, bullying, isolation, and self-doubt, became sources of empathy rather than pain. Elon's reflections deepened his understanding of sacrifice, not as loss but as a necessary part of growth and love. He realized that his relentless pursuit of innovation must be balanced with care for those he loved and the world he hoped to transform. In quiet moments beneath the Vatican's soaring ceilings and among its ancient gardens, Elon contemplated the meaning of his journey. He saw life as a tapestry woven from moments of struggle and joy, doubt and faith, loss and redemption. The lessons he learned resonated beyond his own story, offering hope to anyone facing uncertainty or adversity. As the story drew toward its resolution, Elon addressed the global community once more. This time, his message was one of unity and shared responsibility. He urged humanity to embrace the mysteries of existence with courage, to seek harmony between progress and preservation, and to recognize that love, whether expressed through family, faith, or friendship, would always guide the way. The final chapters of the story brought a sense of closure yet left space for ongoing exploration. The Vatican's relationship with science and technology had been transformed, signaling a new era of openness and collaboration. Elon's vision of space colonization and sustainable innovation took on deeper meaning, informed by the spiritual insights he had gained. The narrative concluded with a poignant reflection on the nature of life's surprises and the enduring power of hope. Elon Musk's visit to the Vatican had been more than a meeting of minds, it was a journey of the soul. It challenged old boundaries, sparked new beginnings, and reminded us all that the greatest discoveries lie not just in distant stars or hidden artifacts, but within the human heart. The story ended with an invitation to the reader, to carry forward the lessons of courage, compassion, and curiosity into their own lives, knowing that even in the face of uncertainty, love will always lead the way. The world had changed. Not overnight, not in one grand gesture, but in waves, subtle at first, then rising in intensity as the news of Elon Musk's Vatican visit and the mysterious artifact rippled outward. What had once been whispered in marble halls was now debated across continents. From newsrooms in New York to temples in Kyoto, from university labs in Berlin to mosques in Cairo, people asked the same questions. What had Elon seen beneath the Vatican? Was it real? And if it was, what did it mean for the human race? Elon watched the global response with a mixture of humility and intensity. He hadn't planned for this. He hadn't expected to be at the center of a movement that now straddled religion, science, politics, and philosophy. He was used to being controversial. Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, they had all brought him into storms before, but this was different. This was existential. The Vatican Council, now known quietly within elite circles as the custodians, met regularly. It had grown beyond its original group of cardinals and advisors. It now included Nobel-winning physicists, spiritual leaders from multiple religions, artists, historians, and even indigenous elders from remote corners of the planet. They sat around one table, drawn not by belief in the same God or system but by awe, a shared reverence for the implications of the sphere. The sphere, meanwhile, remained locked deep beneath the Vatican, encased in a sealed chamber of carbon fiber and lead. Elon had insisted on precautions. Not out of fear of what it might do, but out of fear of what humans might do with it. Its abilities were not fully understood, but the early studies had shown it interacted with electromagnetic fields, responded to thought in ways that defied conventional AI models, and stored information in dimensions not yet measurable by standard physics. Privately, Elon had begun to test the sphere's capabilities further, but not in labs, in himself. The visions he experienced when he touched it weren't hallucinations. They were structured. Cohesive. Every time he placed his hand on the device, he was transported into what felt like a vast network, a consciousness not his own, but not entirely foreign either. It didn't speak, but it conveyed meaning. Patterns. Truths. He saw the birth of stars. The death of ancient civilizations. He saw humanity's future, not fixed, but branching, like a quantum decision tree. One path led to collapse, another to transcendence. And through it all, he kept returning to one image, a woman holding a child beneath a crimson sky, surrounded by ruined cities. In her eyes was not despair, but hope. The kind that burns quietly through ruin. Elon didn't understand what the image meant, but it haunted him. Meanwhile, backlash was growing. Not all were inspired by what Elon had found. Some saw it as blasphemy. Others as a hoax. A growing chorus of conspiracy theorists, tech critics, and fringe religious groups began attacking both the Vatican and Elon. There were protests outside Tesla factories and SpaceX launch pads. Some nations issued formal statements demanding that the Vatican disclose the full truth of what had been uncovered. A cyber attack was launched against the Vatican's servers. It failed, but it revealed just how high the stakes had become. Elon was advised to stay quiet, to return to business, to stop chasing metaphysical questions. But he couldn't. Not now. He had touched something larger than himself. The answers weren't in the next car, rocket, or chip, they were in the story the sphere had started to tell. In a pivotal custodian meeting, Elon proposed something radical, not full disclosure, but a controlled revelation. A global summit. One that brought the world's top thinkers, leaders, and citizens together, not to reveal the sphere, but to begin the conversation. Humanity isn't ready for the truth in full, he said. But it's ready for a question it stopped asking: who are we, really? There was resistance, of course. The Vatican still had its traditionalists. But Cardinal Roberto backed Elon, and so did enough others that the summit began to take shape. It would be held in Assisi, the birthplace of Saint Francis, chosen for its symbolism, humility, nature, peace. Elon spent the weeks leading up to the summit preparing a message. Not a speech, but a meditation. It would be translated into dozens of languages, broadcast to billions. And yet, it was intensely personal. In it, he spoke of loss, his first child, Nevada, who died in infancy. His divorces. The long hours, the missed birthdays. The self-imposed exile of genius. He spoke not just as the world's most daring innovator, but as a man who had failed and risen. Again and again. And he spoke of the sphere, not in scientific detail, but in spiritual metaphor. There is something ancient in us, he said, a voice that speaks not in words but in knowing. It's the voice that builds fire, draws constellations, and asks why we suffer. I believe this voice was never meant to be silenced. And what I found beneath the Vatican didn't give me new answers. It reminded me of the ones I'd forgotten. When the summit finally began, the world paused. Airports broadcasted. Schools suspended classes. The stage was simple, a round stone plaza, no LED lights, no corporate banners. Elon walked alone to the center and began to speak. He asked the world not to believe him, but to ask their own questions. He asked children to imagine Mars not as an escape, but as a canvas. He asked religious leaders to embrace mystery, and scientists to recognize humility. We are not gods, he said. But we are more than animals. We are the only species that knows it will die, and dreams anyway. Tears streamed down faces in cities and villages alike. For a moment, borders faded. The emotional climax reached not just a personal but a planetary level. This wasn't about Elon anymore. It was about all of us. And then came the punchline, quiet, devastating, unforgettable. He ended with the same image that had haunted him, the woman beneath the crimson sky. In all my visions, he said, she never speaks. But I know what she's saying. She's asking, will you leave the next generation a world worth fighting for? And I think, we still can. Silence fell. And then applause. From world leaders. From skeptics. From children watching from school gymnasiums. From elders in rural villages who had never heard of Elon Musk but knew a call to hope when they felt one. The days that followed were uncertain. But something had shifted. Not politically. Not even institutionally. But spiritually. Conversations began that had been dormant for decades. About consciousness. About technology. About purpose. Elon returned to California after the summit and stood atop the SpaceX launch tower, looking at the stars. He no longer saw them as destinations, but as reminders. That we were meant to reach, not to escape Earth, but to honor it. His journey with the Vatican wasn't over. The sphere would continue to be studied. The council would keep working. But Elon understood something now that he hadn't before. The greatest journey wasn't outward. It was inward. As he turned to leave the tower, a technician handed him a note. No name. Just a line scribbled on it. Life is full of surprises. But love will always lead the way. And Elon smiled, for the first time in a long time, not because he knew what came next, but because he didn't. And that was enough. The weeks following the Assisi summit saw the world in a curious state, neither at peace nor in panic, but suspended somewhere in between. It was as though humanity had been handed a map to a land no one had ever dared imagine, and now people stood at the edge of it, unsure whether to take the first step. News cycles tried to keep pace. Analysts dissected Elon Musk's speech, theologians argued over the implications, and social media flooded with interpretations, memes, and manifestos. But beneath the noise, something deeper stirred, a slow and quiet awakening. People weren't just reacting to the speech. They were feeling it. Something in Elon's words, and in the mystery of the sphere, had struck a nerve across every cultural and ideological divide. Parents began talking to their children about dreams, not careers, but actual dreams. Teachers altered lesson plans to include discussions about wonder and possibility. Even in war zones, ceasefires held a little longer than expected, as if everyone was waiting for something. Elon, meanwhile, kept moving. He had never been one to linger too long in one place, physically or mentally. But this time, his movement was different, not toward the next product launch or mission milestone, but toward reflection. He visited his factories not to oversee, but to observe. He spoke less, listened more. And he found, to his surprise, that his teams were working with a new sense of purpose. Engineers and scientists who once focused solely on efficiency and output were now talking about legacy. They were thinking about the why. The spirit of what had started in the Vatican tunnels had seeped into the code of Tesla's AI, into the welds of SpaceX rockets, and even into the algorithms of X. It was no longer about dominating the market. It was about lifting civilization, about aligning ambition with meaning. But the tension hadn't vanished. If anything, it had grown more complex. Global powers, especially those with deep religious or authoritarian roots, were not comfortable with the narrative being shaped. They saw the merging of faith and science not as progress, but as a threat to control. One particularly powerful nation accused Elon of attempting to create a new world religion. Others demanded the sphere be relocated to neutral territory. Elon refused. "This isn't about ownership," he said. "It's about stewardship." Behind closed doors, security around the Vatican intensified. Threat levels rose. The custodians received encrypted threats, and one of the council's external members, a renowned quantum physicist from South Korea, narrowly survived an assassination attempt. It became clear that the knowledge surrounding the sphere was no longer just controversial, it was dangerous. Elon was advised to go silent. Some of his oldest allies begged him to let the mystery rest, to avoid further escalation. But he couldn't. He knew what he had seen. He couldn't unsee it. Not the stars dying in slow silence, not the civilizations rising and collapsing, and not the image of the woman beneath the red sky. He began to travel again, but this time with a different itinerary. Not boardrooms. Not launch pads. But sacred spaces. He visited monasteries in the Himalayas, sat with elders in the Amazon, and walked barefoot with monks through Thai forests. He didn't go as a leader, but as a pilgrim. He asked questions. Listened to myths. Told his story without embellishment. And in each place, he noticed a pattern. The sphere wasn't an anomaly. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries had stories, artifacts, symbols, songs, that hinted at something like it. The sphere wasn't new. It was a return. During one such visit, to a remote desert shrine in northern Algeria, an old Sufi mystic told Elon something that froze him. The voice you hear inside the sphere is not the voice of gods. It is the echo of the universe remembering itself. Elon asked him what that meant. The mystic only smiled. One day, you'll stop asking. That night, Elon dreamt again of the woman and the child beneath the red sky. But this time, the city wasn't ruined. It was rebuilding. Smoke still rose in the distance, but there was laughter. Music. And the child pointed toward the horizon, where a spacecraft lifted slowly into the glowing clouds. Elon awoke with tears in his eyes. He finally understood, the image wasn't a warning. It was a promise. Humanity would suffer. Struggle. Even fall. But we would rise. When he returned to the Vatican, he requested one final session with the sphere. Alone. The custodians debated. Cardinal Roberto hesitated. But in the end, they agreed. Elon descended into the vault as he had before, though this time not with ambition or fear, but with calm. He placed his hand on the surface of the sphere. And this time, there were no visions. No stars. No collapse. Just stillness. Elon didn't panic. He understood. The sphere had nothing more to show him because it had given him what he needed, not answers, but clarity. When he emerged, he told the custodians he was ready to leave. Not just the Vatican, but the movement. It was no longer about him. I'm a chapter, he said. Not the book. He handed them a small drive, encrypted, secure. This is everything I've learned. Share it when the time is right. And then he did what no one expected, he disappeared. No press release. No social post. No announcement. He simply walked out of the Vatican, boarded a small electric aircraft, and was gone. For weeks, speculation ran wild. Had he died? Gone off-grid? Was he hiding? The truth, however, was far less dramatic. Elon had returned to Texas, to a small house near the original SpaceX launch site in Boca Chica. He worked in a private lab. He read. He wrote in longhand. And occasionally, he went outside at night, lay in the sand, and looked up. The world, meanwhile, kept moving. The custodians continued their work. The summit inspired similar gatherings. Some cities began experimenting with fusion zones, places where scientific research centers and spiritual institutions coexisted. New art, new language, new models of education emerged. Humanity hadn't become perfect. But it had started to remember its potential. And then, 1 year to the day after the Assisi summit, a short video appeared on Elon's social accounts. No music. No effects. Just him, sitting on the beach. He looked older. Calmer. Fuller. He spoke plainly. If you're watching this, you probably have more questions than answers. That's good. That means you're awake. I used to think we needed to go to Mars to survive. I still think we should go. But not to escape. To become stewards. Not just of Earth. Of life. Consciousness. Time. The sphere didn't give me magic. It gave me memory. And I hope we don't forget again. Because the future isn't waiting for us. It's listening. He paused, then looked off into the sky. I don't know what comes next. But I trust you'll figure it out. We all will. And then the screen faded to black. But not before one final message. Life is full of surprises. But love will always lead the way. The year after Elon Musk's quiet re-emergence came to be known by some as the turning. It wasn't marked by a war, an invention, or even a speech. It was a slow shift, cultural, emotional, almost imperceptible at first. Something had changed in the collective consciousness of humanity. For once, progress didn't feel like a race. It felt like a calling. People started asking questions they hadn't dared to ask in decades. Not about which nation was ahead or which corporation was winning, but about meaning. About stewardship. About the future not as a place to conquer, but as a space to deserve. It was as if Elon's disappearance had created a void, and in that silence, the world began to listen to itself. In a small mountain village in Peru, children gathered in classrooms redesigned not just for STEM but for wonder. Their teachers encouraged them to blend ancient Incan astronomy with modern astrophysics. A young girl named Camila, who had watched Elon's beachside video on a cracked smartphone, said something that later made headlines: "He didn't tell us what to do. He reminded us we already knew." That sentiment spread. Across the globe, grassroots projects began springing up under a new banner, not officially sanctioned by Elon or the Vatican, but deeply inspired by the ethos of the Assisi summit. They called themselves the Horizon Collective. It wasn't a religion. It wasn't a political movement. It was a mindset. A willingness to build forward while looking back with reverence. In South Africa, a joint initiative between engineers and shamans produced solar arrays modeled after tribal sun symbols. In Iceland, geologists and theologians collaborated to map geothermal energy through the lens of sacred earth traditions. In India, AI researchers worked with Sanskrit scholars to code ethics protocols based on ancient Vedic texts. The world wasn't rejecting science. It was integrating it. Back in the Vatican, the custodians continued their work with the sphere, though now their mission had evolved. The artifact was no longer just a relic or a mystery. It was a mirror. They came to understand it didn't reveal in the way humans expected. It responded. Reflected. Adapted. It was less a source of truth and more a lens through which humanity examined its own readiness to hold the truth. The more they approached it with fear or ambition, the more opaque it became. But when approached with humility and open intention, it pulsed, softly, like the echo of an ancient memory. Cardinal Roberto, now older and thinner, led these studies with quiet resolve. He no longer tried to explain the sphere in theological terms. He called it a sacred paradox. And in that paradox, he found peace. Meanwhile, Elon remained out of the spotlight. Rumors swirled. Some said he was building a spacecraft in secret. Others believed he had entered a monastery. One theory claimed he had merged his consciousness with the sphere and existed now in a state of digital soul fusion. The truth was simpler. Elon was living, finally, as a man unburdened by expectation. He worked in the mornings, walked for miles in the afternoons, and read by candlelight in the evenings. He wrote letters he never sent. He laughed more. He sometimes cried while watching the sunset. But what he didn't do was disappear entirely. He had formed a habit, once a week, always at the same time, he connected with a secure node built by Tesla's old engineers. Through it, he answered exactly one question submitted by anyone, anywhere, completely at random. He didn't filter. He didn't edit. He just spoke. Some of the questions were practical. Some deeply philosophical. Others absurd. Once, a teenager from Kansas asked, "Do you think God likes pizza?" Elon had smiled, then said simply, "If God made us in his image, probably." These sessions became known as the wavelength dialogues. People watched them not for answers, but for the sense of connection. There was no studio. No polish. Just a man who had touched something vast and returned with more humanity than ego. And then came the ripple. At a climate conference in Nairobi, a controversial proposal was quietly introduced. It was a multinational commitment to create the Earth Accord, a pact that redefined GDP not in terms of economic output alone, but as a balance between technological advancement, environmental sustainability, and cultural preservation. The model, inspired in part by ideas Elon had shared before the summit, passed narrowly. It became a global inflection point. Under the Earth Accord, countries began shifting policy, not in fear of collapse, but in hope of alignment. Subsidies changed. Innovations that once focused on extraction pivoted to regeneration. Fossil fuel usage plummeted, not because it was outlawed, but because it was outloved. Corporations faced pressure too. And they adapted. Tesla launched a new division focused entirely on open-source renewable technology. Microsoft rolled out an ethics AI engine co-developed with indigenous technologists. Even Amazon introduced quiet zones in cities, where delivery drones wouldn't fly and nature was prioritized over commerce. It was messy. Imperfect. There were failures. Bad actors. Greed didn't vanish. But momentum shifted. Elon watched from afar. Not with pride, but with gratitude. He knew better than anyone that transformation wasn't about flipping a switch. It was about lighting candles. Then, one night, as he sat outside watching the stars rise, a message came through. It was encrypted using a key only he and one other person had, Cardinal Roberto. The message was brief. "It's time. She is here." Elon knew what it meant. He boarded a small jet the next morning and returned to Rome under a shroud of secrecy. The Vatican gates opened without question. The world didn't know he had returned. But the sphere did. Deep beneath the marble corridors, in the heart of the secret chamber, stood not just Roberto but a young woman. Early 20s. Skin like copper, eyes like burning coal. Her name was Zara. She had come from the Red Crescent Institute in Morocco. She had been part of an archaeological team studying ancient desert relics when she had reportedly heard a call. Not metaphorically. Literally. She had entered a trance for 3 days, during which she spoke in a language unknown to anyone alive. She sketched symbols matching those on the Vatican sphere. She described the red sky. The woman. The child. When she awoke, she said only one thing, "Take me to the echo." Roberto had hesitated. Then obeyed. Elon entered the chamber quietly. Zara turned to him, eyes wide. "You saw it too." He nodded. They didn't touch the sphere together. She approached it alone. The room dimmed as she laid her hand on its surface. The glow intensified, not blinding, but vast. And for the first time in recorded observation, the sphere levitated. Just a few inches. But enough. Zara didn't fall into a trance. She didn't speak. She simply cried. Then she smiled. "The seed is ready," she whispered. Elon didn't ask what it meant. He didn't need to. Something had begun. In the months following Elon Musk's re-emergence, the world experienced a subtle yet profound transformation. His absence had sparked a global introspection, leading humanity to re-evaluate its trajectory. This period, often referred to as the turning, was characterized not by grand declarations or technological breakthroughs, but by a collective shift towards deeper reflection and purpose. Across continents, individuals and communities began to embrace a new ethos, one that prioritized meaning over mere progress. The Horizon Collective, a grassroots movement inspired by the principles Elon had espoused, emerged as a beacon for this change. It wasn't an organization in the traditional sense but a convergence of like-minded souls dedicated to integrating ancient wisdom with modern innovation. In the Andes, a group of Peruvian teachers blended Incan astronomical knowledge with contemporary science, fostering a curriculum that celebrated both heritage and discovery. In the deserts of Namibia, engineers collaborated with indigenous elders to develop sustainable technologies that honored the land's spiritual significance. These initiatives, though varied in form and location, shared a common thread, a commitment to a future where technology served humanity's higher aspirations. Back in the Vatican, the custodians maintained their guardianship over the enigmatic sphere. Their understanding deepened, revealing that the artifact was not a passive object but an active participant in humanity's journey. It responded to the collective consciousness, its revelations shaped by the intentions and readiness of those who sought its counsel. This dynamic interaction underscored a profound truth: the future was not a predetermined path but a co-created reality. Cardinal Roberto, once a skeptic, now spoke of the sphere with reverence. He described it as a mirror reflecting humanity's potential, urging individuals to confront their innermost truths. Under his guidance, the custodians initiated dialogues with various faith traditions, seeking to harmonize their insights and foster a unified vision for the future. While Elon remained largely out of the public eye, his influence permeated the global consciousness. He refrained from direct involvement in the Horizon Collective, allowing it to evolve organically. However, his occasional interactions, such as the impromptu, wavelength dialogues, served as gentle nudges, encouraging individuals to trust their intuition and embrace uncertainty. In these dialogues, Elon shared reflections on topics ranging from the nature of consciousness to the ethics of artificial intelligence. His approach was not to provide answers but to pose questions that prompted deeper inquiry. This method resonated with many, fostering a culture of curiosity and humility. The most significant development came with the arrival of Zara, a young woman from Morocco whose connection to the sphere was both mysterious and profound. Her visions, which mirrored those Elon had experienced, suggested a deeper, perhaps cosmic, alignment. Her presence in the Vatican was not coincidental, it was as if she had been drawn there by an unseen force, ready to play her part in the unfolding narrative. Zara's interaction with the sphere was unlike any before. Instead of a trance or vision, she engaged in a silent communion, her presence alone eliciting a response from the artifact. The sphere, in turn, responded with a display of light and energy that left the custodians and Elon in awe. Her message was clear, the time for passive observation had ended. Humanity was now called to active participation in the cosmic dance, to align its actions with the rhythms of the universe. Zara's role was not to lead but to guide, to help others recognize their own potential and place in the grand tapestry. Zara's revelation resonated worldwide. In cities and villages, individuals began to perceive their daily lives as part of a larger, interconnected whole. Decisions were made not solely based on immediate benefits but with an awareness of their long-term impact on the planet and future generations. Economies shifted from growth-centric models to sustainability-focused frameworks. Governments, influenced by the principles of the Earth Accord, implemented policies that prioritized ecological balance and social equity. Corporations, once driven by profit maximization, now considered their role in the collective well-being. Even in the realm of technology, advancements were pursued with caution, ensuring they aligned with ethical standards and served humanity's higher purpose. As the years progressed, the world witnessed a renaissance of sorts, a revival of ancient wisdom fused with modern innovation. This new era was characterized by a deep sense of interconnectedness, a recognition that all actions ripple through the fabric of existence. Elon, from his quiet retreat, observed these developments with a sense of fulfillment, knowing that his initial spark had ignited a global awakening. The sphere, once a symbol of mystery and potential, had become a catalyst for transformation. Its presence reminded humanity of its capacity for greatness, not through domination or conquest but through compassion, understanding, and unity. In the end, the journey was not about reaching a destination but about the evolution of consciousness. It was about recognizing that the future was not something to be feared or controlled but something to be co-created with intention and love. And so, the world moved forward, not with haste or arrogance but with grace and humility, ever mindful of the delicate balance that sustains all life. The legacy of that quiet turning continues to inspire, a testament to the power of collective awakening and the enduring light of shared purpose. After Elon Musk's quiet re-emergence, the world underwent a subtle yet profound transformation. His absence had sparked a global introspection, leading humanity to re-evaluate its trajectory. This period, often referred to as the turning, was characterized not by grand declarations or technological breakthroughs, but by a collective shift towards deeper reflection and purpose. Across continents, individuals and communities began to embrace a new ethos, one that prioritized meaning over mere progress. The Horizon Collective, a grassroots movement inspired by the principles Elon had espoused, emerged as a beacon for this change. It wasn't an organization in the traditional sense but a convergence of like-minded souls dedicated to integrating ancient wisdom with modern innovation. In the Andes, a group of Peruvian teachers blended Incan astronomical knowledge with contemporary science, fostering a curriculum that celebrated both heritage and discovery. In the deserts of Namibia, engineers collaborated with indigenous elders to develop sustainable technologies that honored the land's spiritual significance. These initiatives, though varied in form and location, shared a common thread, a commitment to a future where technology served humanity's higher aspirations. Back in the Vatican, the custodians maintained their guardianship over the enigmatic sphere. Their understanding deepened, revealing that the artifact was not a passive object but an active participant in humanity's journey. It responded to the collective consciousness, its revelations shaped by the intentions and readiness of those who sought its counsel. This dynamic interaction underscored a profound truth: the future was not a predetermined path but a co-created reality. Cardinal Roberto, once a skeptic, now spoke of the sphere with reverence. He described it as a mirror reflecting humanity's potential, urging individuals to confront their innermost truths. Under his guidance, the custodians initiated dialogues with various faith traditions, seeking to harmonize their insights and foster a unified vision for the future. While Elon remained largely out of the public eye, his influence permeated the global consciousness. He refrained from direct involvement in the Horizon Collective, allowing it to evolve organically. However, his occasional interactions, such as the impromptu, wavelength dialogues, served as gentle nudges, encouraging individuals to trust their intuition and embrace uncertainty. In these dialogues, Elon shared reflections on topics ranging from the nature of consciousness to the ethics of artificial intelligence. His approach was not to provide answers but to pose questions that prompted deeper inquiry. This method resonated with many, fostering a culture of curiosity and humility. The most significant development came with the arrival of Zara, a young woman from Morocco whose connection to the sphere was both mysterious and profound. Her visions, which mirrored those Elon had experienced, suggested a deeper, perhaps cosmic, alignment. Her presence in the Vatican was not coincidental, it was as if she had been drawn there by an unseen force, ready to play her part in the unfolding narrative. Zara's interaction with the sphere was unlike any before. Instead of a trance or vision, she engaged in a silent communion, her presence alone eliciting a response from the artifact. The sphere, in turn, responded with a display of light and energy that left the custodians and Elon in awe. Her message was clear: the time for passive observation had ended. Humanity was now called to active participation in the cosmic dance, to align its actions with the rhythms of the universe. Zara's role was not to lead but to guide, to help others recognize their own potential and place in the grand tapestry. Zara's revelation resonated worldwide. In cities and villages, individuals began to perceive their daily lives as part of a larger, interconnected whole. Decisions were made not solely based on immediate benefits but with an awareness of their long-term impact on the planet and future generations. Economies shifted from growth-centric models to sustainability-focused frameworks. Governments, influenced by the principles of the Earth Accord, implemented policies that prioritized ecological balance and social equity. Corporations, once driven by profit maximization, now considered their role in the collective well-being. Even in the realm of technology, advancements were pursued with caution, ensuring they aligned with ethical standards and served humanity's higher purpose. As the years progressed, the world witnessed a renaissance of sorts, a revival of ancient wisdom fused with modern innovation. This new era was characterized by a deep sense of interconnectedness, a recognition that all actions ripple through the fabric of existence. Elon, from his quiet retreat, observed these developments with a sense of fulfillment, knowing that his initial spark had ignited a global awakening. The sphere, once a symbol of mystery and potential, had become a catalyst for transformation. Its presence reminded humanity of its capacity for greatness, not through domination or conquest but through compassion, understanding, and unity. In the end, the journey was not about reaching a destination but about the evolution of consciousness. It was about recognizing that the future was not something to be feared or controlled but something to be co-created with intention and love. And so, the world moved forward, not with haste or arrogance but with grace and humility, ever mindful of the delicate balance that sustains all life. The legacy of that quiet turning continues to inspire, a testament to the power of collective awakening and the enduring light of shared purpose. Zara's arrival in the Vatican was not a mere coincidence. Her presence seemed to be the culmination of a series of events that had been set into motion long before her birth. As a child in Morocco, she had experienced vivid dreams and visions that often left her perplexed. These dreams were not of the typical variety, they were profound, filled with symbols and messages that resonated with a deep, ancient wisdom. As she grew older, Zara sought understanding, turning to various spiritual traditions and philosophies. She studied mysticism, quantum physics, and ancient texts, trying to decipher the meaning behind her experiences. It was during this period of intense introspection that she came across references to the enigmatic sphere housed in the Vatican. The more she read, the more she felt an inexplicable pull towards it. Driven by this inner calling, Zara embarked on a journey to Rome. Upon her arrival, she sought out the custodians, presenting herself not as a seeker, but as someone who had come to fulfill a purpose. Her demeanor was calm, her presence serene, yet there was an undeniable intensity in her eyes, a recognition that she was meant to be there. The custodians, initially skeptical, were taken aback by her certainty. They allowed her to approach the sphere, and as she did, a subtle energy filled the room. The sphere, which had remained dormant for so long, began to hum softly. The custodians watched in awe as Zara placed her hand upon it. The interaction was silent, yet profound. In that moment, Zara received a vision, a tapestry of interconnected events, people, and places. She saw the future of humanity, not as a linear progression, but as a web of possibilities. The vision was both beautiful and daunting, filled with potential and peril. Zara understood then that her role was not to lead or dictate but to guide humanity towards a path of harmony and balance. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Zara's message spread rapidly, resonating with individuals across the globe. People from all walks of life began to question their purpose, their actions, and their impact on the world. The Horizon Collective, inspired by Zara's teachings, grew exponentially. It became a movement that transcended borders, uniting individuals in their shared quest for meaning and connection. Communities began to implement practices that fostered sustainability, compassion, and mindfulness. In urban centers, green spaces flourished as people reclaimed areas for communal gardens and reflection. In rural regions, traditional knowledge was integrated with modern techniques to promote ecological balance. Education systems underwent transformations, emphasizing critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and environmental stewardship. Students were encouraged to explore their passions, collaborate with others, and think holistically about the world around them. Governments, influenced by the principles of the Earth Accord, enacted policies that prioritized the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants. Economic models shifted from growth-centric to well-being-centric, focusing on quality of life rather than mere accumulation of wealth. Back in the Vatican, the custodians continued their stewardship of the sphere. They recognized that their role was evolving. No longer were they mere guardians, they were facilitators of a new paradigm. They opened their doors to scholars, spiritual leaders, and thinkers from diverse backgrounds, fostering dialogues that bridged gaps and built understanding. The sphere, once a silent observer, now became an active participant in these discussions. Its presence was a constant reminder of the interconnectedness of all things. It served as a touchstone, guiding conversations and decisions towards unity and balance. Cardinal Roberto, who had once been a skeptic, now found himself deeply involved in these dialogues. He often reflected on the journey that had brought him here, from a man of rigid beliefs to one who embraced uncertainty and sought wisdom in diverse perspectives. Elon Musk, though not at the forefront, continued to influence the unfolding events. His earlier ventures had laid the groundwork for many of the technological advancements that were now being utilized for the greater good. His companies, once driven by profit motives, had transitioned towards missions that aligned with the principles of sustainability and ethical innovation. Elon maintained a low profile, choosing to support initiatives quietly. He provided resources, shared insights, and offered guidance when needed. His approach was one of humility and service, understanding that the collective effort was more important than individual recognition. In private conversations, Elon often spoke of the importance of adaptability and resilience. He emphasized the need to remain open to new ideas and to learn from failures. His experiences had taught him that true progress came not from rigid plans but from the willingness to evolve and grow. Zara's vision for the future was one of balance and harmony. She saw a world where technology and nature coexisted, where human potential was nurtured, and where communities thrived in unity. She envisioned cities that were not just centers of commerce but hubs of creativity, learning, and compassion. She spoke of a society where education was not a means to an end but a lifelong journey of discovery. where individuals were encouraged to explore their curiosities, develop their talents, and contribute to the collective good. In Zara's vision, economies were not driven by consumption but by well-being. Resources were shared equitably, and the focus was on enhancing the quality of life for all, rather than accumulating wealth for a few. Her message was clear: the future was not something to be feared or awaited, it was something to be co-created. Each individual had a role to play, and together, humanity could build a world that reflected its highest aspirations. As Zara's teaching spread, they ignited a ripple effect. Individuals began to take responsibility for their actions, understanding that even small changes could have significant impacts. Communities collaborated, sharing resources and knowledge to address local challenges. Businesses redefined success, measuring it not just in profits but in positive contributions to society and the environment. Innovations emerged that prioritized sustainability, equity, and inclusivity. The media landscape shifted, focusing on stories of hope, resilience, and positive change. Narratives that once centered on conflict and division now highlighted unity and collective action. Years passed, and the world transformed. The principles of the Horizon Collective became ingrained in societies worldwide. The focus shifted from individual gain to collective well-being. People lived with purpose, guided by values that honored the interconnectedness of all life. Zara, now regarded as a wise elder, continued to share her insights, not as a leader but as a guide. She often reminded others that the journey was ongoing, that there was always more to learn, and that the path forward was one of continuous growth and evolution. The sphere, once a mysterious artifact, had become a symbol of humanity's potential. It stood as a testament to what could be achieved when individuals came together with a shared vision and purpose. And so, the world moved forward, not with haste or arrogance but with grace and humility, ever mindful of the delicate balance that sustains all life. The legacy of that quiet turning continues to inspire, a testament to the power of collective awakening and the enduring light of shared purpose. As the world continued its transformation, Zara's influence grew, and the Vatican's role as a spiritual and intellectual center deepened. The custodians, now more attuned to the sphere's subtle messages, began to interpret its guidance in the context of the evolving global landscape. The custodians, under the leadership of Cardinal Roberto, recognized that their stewardship of the sphere was not just about preserving its mysteries but about actively engaging with the world. They initiated dialogues with scientists, philosophers, and spiritual leaders from various traditions, seeking to understand the broader implications of the sphere's revelations. These discussions led to the formation of the Interfaith Council for Cosmic Understanding, a body dedicated to exploring the intersections of science, spirituality, and ethics. The Council's first major initiative was the Harmonization Project, which aimed to reconcile ancient wisdom with modern knowledge, fostering a global culture of respect, empathy, and shared purpose. The Vatican also became a hub for innovation, hosting conferences and workshops that brought together thinkers from diverse fields. These gatherings produced groundbreaking ideas on sustainable living, ethical technology, and holistic education, many of which were implemented in communities worldwide. Zara, now recognized as a spiritual guide and visionary, continued to travel the world, sharing her insights and facilitating workshops. Her teachings emphasized the importance of inner transformation as the foundation for societal change. She encouraged individuals to cultivate mindfulness, compassion, and a deep connection to the earth. In her travels, Zara encountered various cultures and traditions, learning from their practices and integrating their wisdom into her teachings. She collaborated with indigenous communities, scientists, and artists, creating programs that blended ancient practices with modern knowledge. One of Zara's most significant contributions was the establishment of the Global Harmony Network, a decentralized platform that connected individuals and communities dedicated to living in harmony with each other and the planet. The network facilitated the exchange of ideas, resources, and support, fostering a global movement towards sustainability and peace. Elon Musk, though still maintaining a low profile, continued to influence the unfolding narrative. His ventures, such as Neuralink and SpaceX, advanced in alignment with the principles of ethical innovation and long-term sustainability. He refrained from public declarations, allowing his actions to speak louder than words. Musk's companies adopted transparent practices, prioritizing environmental responsibility and social equity. Tesla's vehicles became more affordable and accessible, while SpaceX's missions focused on scientific exploration and the peaceful use of space. In private conversations, Musk shared his vision of a future where technology serves humanity's highest aspirations. He spoke of the need for a collective awakening, where individuals recognize their interconnectedness and work together for the common good. The combined efforts of Zara, the Vatican, and other leaders sparked a global awakening. People began to question the prevailing narratives of consumerism and individualism, seeking instead paths that honored the earth and each other. Education systems shifted focus from rote memorization to critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Students were encouraged to explore their passions, collaborate with others, and think holistically about the world around them. Economies transitioned from growth-centric models to well-being-centric frameworks. Businesses redefined success, measuring it not just in profits but in positive contributions to society and the environment. Governments enacted policies that prioritized the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants. International agreements focused on climate action, social equity, and the peaceful use of technology. As the years passed, the world entered a new era, an era characterized by consciousness, compassion, and collaboration. Individuals recognized their shared humanity and the interconnectedness of all life. Communities flourished, grounded in principles of equity, sustainability, and mutual respect. Technology became a tool for enhancing human potential and addressing global challenges. Artificial intelligence, once feared as a threat, was harnessed to solve complex problems and improve quality of life. Spirituality and science coexisted harmoniously, with both recognizing the mysteries of existence and the importance of inner transformation. Religions and philosophies found common ground, united in their pursuit of truth, love, and understanding. Looking back, the period known as the Turning was seen as a pivotal moment in human history. It was a time when individuals and communities chose to align with higher principles, setting the stage for a future rooted in wisdom, compassion, and collective well-being. The sphere, once a mysterious artifact, had fulfilled its purpose, not by providing answers, but by inspiring questions and guiding humanity towards a path of enlightenment. Zara, the custodians, Elon Musk, and countless others had played their parts, each contributing to the unfolding story. Their legacy was not one of dominance or control, but of service, humility, and a shared vision for a harmonious world. As the world continued its transformation, the convergence of seemingly disparate paths became increasingly evident. Zara's teachings, the Vatican's evolving role, and Elon Musk's ventures were no longer isolated narratives but interconnected threads weaving a tapestry of global awakening. The custodians, under the leadership of Cardinal Roberto, recognized that their stewardship of the sphere was not just about preserving its mysteries but about actively engaging with the world. They initiated dialogues with scientists, philosophers, and spiritual leaders from various traditions, seeking to understand the broader implications of the sphere's revelations. These discussions led to the formation of the Interfaith Council for Cosmic Understanding, a body dedicated to exploring the intersections of science, spirituality, and ethics. The Council's first major initiative was the Harmonization Project, which aimed to reconcile ancient wisdom with modern knowledge, fostering a global culture of respect, empathy, and shared purpose. The Vatican also became a hub for innovation, hosting conferences and workshops that brought together thinkers from diverse fields. These gatherings produced groundbreaking ideas on sustainable living, ethical technology, and holistic education, many of which were implemented in communities worldwide. Zara, now recognized as a spiritual guide and visionary, continued to travel the world, sharing her insights and facilitating workshops. Her teachings emphasized the importance of inner transformation as the foundation for societal change. She encouraged individuals to cultivate mindfulness, compassion, and a deep connection to the earth. In her travels, Zara encountered various cultures and traditions, learning from their practices and integrating their wisdom into her teachings. She collaborated with indigenous communities, scientists, and artists, creating programs that blended ancient practices with modern knowledge. One of Zara's most significant contributions was the establishment of the Global Harmony Network, a decentralized platform that connected individuals and communities dedicated to living in harmony with each other and the planet. The network facilitated the exchange of ideas, resources, and support, fostering a global movement towards sustainability and peace. Elon Musk, though still maintaining a low profile, continued to influence the unfolding narrative. His ventures, such as Neuralink and SpaceX, advanced in alignment with the principles of ethical innovation and long-term sustainability. He refrained from public declarations, allowing his actions to speak louder than words. Musk's companies adopted transparent practices, prioritizing environmental responsibility and social equity. Tesla's vehicles became more affordable and accessible, while SpaceX's missions focused on scientific exploration and the peaceful use of space. In private conversations, Musk shared his vision of a future where technology serves humanity's highest aspirations. He spoke of the need for a collective awakening, where individuals recognize their interconnectedness and work together for the common good. The combined efforts of Zara, the Vatican, and other leaders sparked a global awakening. People began to question the prevailing narratives of consumerism and individualism, seeking instead paths that honored the earth and each other. Education systems shifted focus from rote memorization to critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Students were encouraged to explore their passions, collaborate with others, and think holistically about the world around them. Economies transitioned from growth-centric models to well-being-centric frameworks. Businesses redefined success, measuring it not just in profits but in positive contributions to society and the environment. Governments enacted policies that prioritized the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants. International agreements focused on climate action, social equity, and the peaceful use of technology. As the years passed, the world entered a new era. An era characterized by consciousness, compassion, and collaboration. Individuals recognized their shared humanity and the interconnectedness of all life. Communities flourished, grounded in principles of equity, sustainability, and mutual respect. Technology became a tool for enhancing human potential and addressing global challenges. Artificial intelligence, once feared as a threat, was harnessed to solve complex problems and improve quality of life. Spirituality and science coexisted harmoniously, with both recognizing the mysteries of existence and the importance of inner transformation. Religions and philosophies found common ground, united in their pursuit of truth, love, and understanding. Looking back, the period known as the Turning was seen as a pivotal moment in human history. It was a time when individuals and communities chose to align with higher principles, setting the stage for a future rooted in wisdom, compassion, and collective well-being. The sphere, once a mysterious artifact, had fulfilled its purpose, not by providing answers, but by inspiring questions and guiding humanity towards a path of enlightenment. Zara, the custodians, Elon Musk, and countless others had played their parts, each contributing to the unfolding story. Their legacy was not one of dominance or control, but of service, humility, and a shared vision for a harmonious world. As the world embraced the transformative initiatives inspired by Zara, the Vatican, and Elon Musk, a new era of global consciousness began to take shape. This chapter delves into the profound impact of these movements and the collective efforts that led to a harmonious and sustainable future. Under the guidance of Pope Francis and Cardinal Peter Turkson, the Vatican took significant steps toward fostering a more inclusive and sustainable global society. In December 2020, the Vatican launched the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, a historic partnership between the Holy See and some of the world's largest business leaders. This initiative aimed to reform capitalism into a force for the good of humanity, emphasizing moral imperatives alongside market considerations. The Council's core group, known as the Guardians for Inclusive Capitalism, represented over $10.5 trillion in assets under management and companies with over $2.1 trillion in market capitalization. Their collective actions sought to lead systemic change by making capitalism a greater force for inclusivity and sustainability. Zara's teachings resonated deeply with individuals worldwide, inspiring the creation of the Global Harmony Network. This decentralized platform connected people and communities dedicated to living in harmony with each other and the planet. The network facilitated the exchange of ideas, resources, and support, fostering a global movement toward sustainability and peace. Zara's emphasis on inner transformation as the foundation for societal change encouraged individuals to cultivate mindfulness, compassion, and a deep connection to the earth. Elon Musk's ventures, such as Neuralink and SpaceX, advanced in alignment with the principles of ethical innovation and long-term sustainability. While maintaining a low profile, Musk's companies adopted transparent practices, prioritizing environmental responsibility and social equity. Tesla's vehicles became more affordable and accessible, while SpaceX's missions focused on scientific exploration and the peaceful use of space. Musk's vision of a future where technology serves humanity's highest aspirations contributed to the collective effort toward a harmonious world. The combined efforts of Zara, the Vatican, and other leaders sparked a global awakening. People began to question the prevailing narratives of consumerism and individualism, seeking instead paths that honored the earth and each other. Education systems shifted focus from rote memorization to critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Economies transitioned from growth-centric models to well-being-centric frameworks. Businesses redefined success, measuring it not just in profits but in positive contributions to society and the environment. Governments enacted policies that prioritized the well-being of the planet and its inhabitants, focusing on climate action, social equity, and the peaceful use of technology. As the years passed, the world entered a new era, an era characterized by consciousness, compassion, and collaboration. Individuals recognized their shared humanity and the interconnectedness of all life. Communities flourished, grounded in principles of equity, sustainability, and mutual respect. Technology became a tool for enhancing human potential and addressing global challenges. Spirituality and science coexisted harmoniously, with both recognizing the mysteries of existence and the importance of inner transformation. Religions and philosophies found common ground, united in their pursuit of truth, love, and understanding. Looking back, the period known as the Turning was seen as a pivotal moment in human history. It was a time when individuals and communities chose to align with higher principles, setting the stage for a future rooted in wisdom, compassion, and collective well-being. The sphere, once a mysterious artifact, had fulfilled its purpose. Not by providing answers, but by inspiring questions and guiding humanity toward a path of enlightenment. Zara, the custodians, Elon Musk, and countless others had played their parts, each contributing to the unfolding story. Their legacy was not one of dominance or control but of service, humility, and a shared vision for a harmonious world. In the unfolding narrative of global transformation, a significant chapter was written with the election of Pope Leo XIV, the first American pope and an Augustinian. His papacy marked a pivotal moment in the Church's engagement with contemporary challenges, particularly in the realms of artificial intelligence and economic justice. Pope Leo XIV's ascent to the papacy was swift, elected on the fourth ballot of a diverse conclave. His leadership was characterized by a commitment to continuity with the reforms initiated by his predecessors, especially Pope Francis. Leo emphasized the ethical implications of emerging technologies, notably artificial intelligence, recognizing it as one of humanity's most pressing challenges. He drew parallels between the current technological revolution and the industrial revolution of the 19th century, advocating for a moral framework to guide technological advancement. In his inaugural address to the Cardinals, Pope Leo XIV highlighted the need for the Church to remain a beacon of moral clarity in an increasingly complex world. He reaffirmed the Church's dedication to social justice, environmental stewardship, and the promotion of peace. His papacy was seen as a bridge between traditional Catholic teachings and the exigencies of the modern world. One of Pope Leo XIV's most notable contributions was his focus on the ethical challenges posed by artificial intelligence. He convened a series of synods and conferences bringing together theologians, ethicists, and technologists to deliberate on the moral implications of AI. These gatherings produced the Ethical Charter for Artificial Intelligence, a document outlining principles to ensure that AI development serves the common good and upholds human dignity. The charter emphasized transparency, accountability, and inclusivity in AI systems. It called for the establishment of global regulatory bodies to oversee AI development and deployment, ensuring that these technologies are used responsibly and equitably. Pope Leo XIV initiative positioned the Vatican as a leading voice in the global conversation on AI ethics, advocating for a balance between innovation and moral responsibility. Building upon the foundation laid by Pope Francis, Pope Leo XIV intensified efforts to reform global economic systems. He expanded the scope of the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, a partnership between the Vatican and global business leaders, to include initiatives aimed at addressing systemic inequalities and promoting sustainable development. Under his leadership, the Council launched several initiatives focused on eradicating poverty, combating climate change, and ensuring equitable access to resources. Pope Leo XIV emphasized that economic systems should prioritize human well-being over profit maximization, advocating for policies that promote social welfare and environmental sustainability. His papacy also saw the establishment of the Global Fund for the Common Good, a Vatican-led initiative aimed at providing financial support to projects that align with the Church's social teachings. The fund supported endeavors in education, healthcare, and renewable energy, particularly in underserved regions. Pope Leo XIV continued the Vatican's tradition of fostering interfaith dialogue, building upon the groundwork laid by Pope Francis. He convened interfaith summits that brought together leaders from various religious traditions to discuss shared concerns and collaborative efforts for peace. These summits resulted in the Declaration of Global Brotherhood, a document affirming the common values shared by humanity and committing signatories to work together for peace, justice, and the protection of the environment. The declaration was endorsed by religious leaders from around the world and served as a foundation for collaborative initiatives addressing global challenges. Pope Leo XIV's emphasis on interfaith cooperation underscored the Vatican's role as a facilitator of dialogue and a proponent of peace in a fragmented world. Pope Leo XIV's papacy was marked by a profound commitment to addressing the ethical, economic, and social challenges of the 21st century. His initiatives in AI ethics, economic justice, and interfaith dialogue left an indelible mark on the Church and the world. His leadership demonstrated that the Church could be both a spiritual guide and an active participant in shaping a just and compassionate global society. Pope Leo XIV's legacy continues to inspire efforts toward a more inclusive, ethical, and peaceful world. Despite the surge of hope and global cooperation inspired by Zara, the Vatican, and Elon Musk, the path to transformation was neither smooth nor uncontested. Beneath the surface of these monumental changes lurked hidden forces resistant to the new order, old powers entrenched in secrecy and influence, unwilling to relinquish control. The quiet resistance began subtly, with shadowy factions within governments, multinational corporations, and secret societies. They viewed the rapid social and technological shifts as threats to their dominance. For years, they operated behind closed doors, manipulating narratives and sowing discord to undermine the collective awakening. Their tactics ranged from spreading misinformation and fostering polarization to covertly funding opposition movements aimed at destabilizing emerging alliances. In the heart of the Vatican itself, certain traditionalists expressed unease about the sweeping reforms and open interfaith dialogues. These voices feared dilution of doctrine and loss of authority, sparking quiet debates within the Church's corridors. Some custodians, once unified in their stewardship of the mysterious sphere, found themselves at odds over its interpretation and the pace of change. Elon Musk, ever vigilant, was not immune to these undercurrents. Whispers of sabotage attempts on his technological projects and disinformation campaigns appeared. Yet, Musk's resilience and strategic acumen allowed him to navigate these challenges, turning obstacles into opportunities for innovation and transparency. Zara, too, faced her share of trials. Her growing influence attracted not only admirers but detractors who questioned her unconventional methods and spiritual insights. Traveling across continents, she encountered communities wary of change, where fear and tradition held strong sway. Her mission demanded courage and compassion, as she worked to bridge divides and kindle trust. Amid these tensions, the global community experienced moments of unrest. Protests erupted in various cities, fueled by economic anxieties and misinformation. Yet, these upheavals also revealed the power of dialogue and grassroots activism. Communities united to address grievances, seeking solutions rooted in empathy and shared values. Through perseverance, the forces of light and shadow engaged in a complex dance, sometimes clashing, sometimes finding unexpected common ground. This dynamic underscored the profound truth that transformation is never linear. It requires confronting discomfort, embracing ambiguity, and forging resilience in the face of uncertainty. In this pivotal chapter of humanity's story, the world learned that progress demanded vigilance, not just against external adversaries but also against internal doubts and fears. The journey toward a harmonious future was as much about individual growth as collective evolution. As the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that the greatest challenges often herald the most profound breakthroughs. In the crucible of conflict, new alliances emerged, and deeper wisdom took root. The shadows, though formidable, could not extinguish the light of a world awakening to its shared destiny. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Behind the scenes of the global transformation, a covert group known only as the Secret Council maneuvered with a singular goal: to control the flow of information, technology, and influence shaping humanity's future. Comprised of powerful individuals from banking dynasties, intelligence agencies, and legacy corporations, this council operated beyond public scrutiny, orchestrating events to maintain the old world order. Their origins traced back centuries, rooted in clandestine alliances formed during turbulent times. As the digital age dawned, their influence expanded into data control, artificial intelligence, and geopolitical manipulation. The council's members viewed themselves as guardians of stability, convinced that only they possessed the wisdom to steer humanity safely through chaos. When news of Zara's Global Harmony Network and the Vatican's ethical AI charter began to ripple through influential circles, the council saw a threat to their dominion. They launched covert operations to undermine these movements, hacking campaigns, propaganda dissemination, and clandestine lobbying against progressive policies. Elon Musk, with his relentless pursuit of transparency and innovation, became a particular target. Attempts to discredit his projects surfaced in media outlets linked to council affiliates. Sabotage was subtle but persistent, pushing Musk to deepen his security measures and forge alliances with like-minded visionaries. Within the Vatican, Cardinal Roberto and Pope Leo XIV grew aware of these shadowy machinations. Secret meetings convened with trusted custodians and advisors to devise strategies countering the council's influence. The Church's centuries-old experience with secrecy and diplomacy became invaluable in this silent struggle. Zara's role evolved from spiritual guide to covert operative of sorts. Utilizing her network, she helped expose disinformation and mobilize grassroots resistance. Her teachings on mindfulness and compassion also served as a bulwark against fear and division sown by the council's tactics. The world remained unaware of this invisible war shaping its trajectory. On the surface, progress continued, marked by breakthroughs in technology, diplomacy, and social reform. Yet beneath the optimistic veneer, a battle for humanity's soul unfolded, a contest between control and freedom, fear and hope. As the council's grip tightened in some regions, pockets of resistance flourished elsewhere. Activists, whistleblowers, and visionary leaders collaborated across borders, using encrypted communication and decentralized platforms to evade surveillance and coordinate efforts. This chapter revealed the complexity of change, emphasizing that transformation is rarely linear or uncontested. It requires courage not just to dream but to confront entrenched power and navigate moral ambiguity. The secret council, while formidable, was not invincible. Ultimately, the unfolding story underscored that true power lies not in secrecy or domination but in transparency, empathy, and collective action. As light pushes back darkness, the world edges closer to a future where humanity's shared potential can fully emerge. The year was 2035, and the world stood on the precipice of profound change. After years of tension between emerging global movements and entrenched powers, a singular event ignited a decisive turning point, one that would reshape humanity's future in unexpected ways. It began with a leak, a cache of classified documents exposing the secret council's manipulations on a global scale. Whistleblowers within intelligence agencies and corporate insiders risked everything to reveal the council's covert operations, including election meddling, technological sabotage, and propaganda campaigns designed to divide societies. The revelations spread like wildfire through social media, news outlets, and international forums, shaking public trust in institutions long thought unassailable. Zara, now a figurehead of transparency and collective awakening, used the momentum to rally global citizens. Through the Global Harmony Network, she organized virtual town halls, encouraging people to confront fear and despair with empathy and informed action. Her message was clear: change begins when we refuse to accept darkness as destiny. At the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV addressed the world in a historic broadcast. He acknowledged the revelations, called for truth and reconciliation, and urged humanity to embrace ethical innovation and compassion as guiding principles. His words resonated deeply, bridging divides and inspiring renewed faith in collective progress. Elon Musk stepped forward with a bold proposal: an open-source global AI platform designed to empower communities, increase transparency, and democratize technology. The initiative promised to place powerful tools in the hands of ordinary people, breaking the monopoly held by secretive elites. The secret council, exposed and under mounting pressure, began to fracture. Some members attempted to adapt by engaging publicly with reform efforts, while others resisted fiercely, sparking political and economic upheaval. Global institutions scrambled to respond, balancing demands for justice with the need for stability. Meanwhile, grassroots movements surged worldwide, fueled by hope and a sense of shared destiny. Communities launched cooperative ventures in renewable energy, education, and sustainable agriculture. Interfaith coalitions expanded, promoting peace and mutual understanding in conflict zones. The turning point was not without hardship. The transitional period saw economic disruptions, social unrest, and difficult negotiations. Yet, amid the turmoil, a new narrative emerged, one emphasizing resilience, inclusivity, and the power of collective will. This chapter marked the beginning of humanity's conscious leap forward. The veil of secrecy was lifted, and with it came the opportunity to build a world grounded in transparency, ethics, and love. The journey ahead remained challenging, but the path was illuminated by the unwavering belief that a better future was possible. In the wake of the great revelations and the dismantling of the secret council's shadowy influence, the world faced a daunting but vital task: healing the fractures that years of manipulation and mistrust had inflicted on societies across the globe. This chapter chronicles how leaders, communities, and ordinary individuals came together to rebuild trust, foster understanding, and forge lasting connections between diverse cultures, faiths, and ideologies. The process began with dialogue, genuine, open conversations where people shared their fears, hopes, and experiences without judgment. Inspired by Zara's teachings on compassion and active listening, communities organized forums, both virtual and in person, where empathy was practiced as a foundational skill. These forums included representatives from differing political spectrums, religious traditions, and cultural backgrounds, united by a common desire to move forward. The Vatican played a crucial role, leveraging its diplomatic channels and moral authority to convene international peace conferences. Pope Leo XIV personally facilitated interfaith dialogues, emphasizing shared values like dignity, justice, and care for creation. His leadership helped bridge centuries-old divides, encouraging religious leaders to issue joint statements advocating peace and cooperation. Elon Musk's open-source AI platform became an essential tool in this bridge building. It provided multilingual communication tools, conflict resolution resources, and transparent data sharing to communities previously isolated by language and technological gaps. The AI also aided in identifying common challenges, from climate change to economic inequality, promoting collaborative solutions. In schools and universities, curricula were redesigned to focus on critical thinking, cultural literacy, and emotional intelligence. Education became a powerful force in dismantling stereotypes and fostering global citizenship. Youth movements emerged, energized by the vision of a united future, leading initiatives that combined innovation with activism. Economic initiatives followed. Inspired by the Council for Inclusive Capitalism's expanded mandate, businesses adopted stakeholder models prioritizing social and environmental impact alongside profit. Social enterprises flourished, creating jobs and services that uplifted marginalized populations. Public-private partnerships tackled infrastructure, healthcare, and renewable energy projects with unprecedented collaboration. Despite these advances, challenges persisted. Deep-seated prejudices and historical wounds required patience and persistent effort. Some factions resisted change, clinging to old narratives of division. Yet, each small victory in understanding and cooperation planted seeds for a more peaceful world. This chapter ends on a note of cautious optimism. True reconciliation is a process, not an event. But through commitment, humility, and a willingness to embrace our shared humanity, bridges can be built even over the deepest divides. With bridges being built and global collaboration gaining momentum, humanity entered what many called the New Renaissance, a period marked by unprecedented creativity, innovation, and spiritual awakening. This chapter explores how the convergence of technology, ethics, and inner transformation sparked a flourishing of culture, science, and consciousness that redefined what it meant to be human. Artists, scientists, and thinkers found new inspiration in the unity emerging from diversity. Museums and galleries showcased works that celebrated both ancient traditions and futuristic visions, blending spirituality with cutting-edge technology. Music and literature reflected the global tapestry of experiences, fostering empathy and shared identity. Scientific breakthroughs accelerated, powered by collaborative AI and open data. Renewable energy technologies advanced rapidly, helping combat climate change and bring electricity to remote regions. Medicine saw revolutionary developments through gene editing and personalized treatments, while neuroscience deepened understanding of consciousness and human potential. Education transformed into a lifelong journey integrating intellectual, emotional, and spiritual growth. Schools nurtured creativity, critical thinking, and compassion, preparing future generations to navigate complexity with wisdom and grace. The Global Harmony Network evolved into a thriving platform connecting millions in shared learning and purposeful action. Spiritual traditions experienced a renaissance of their own. Interfaith gatherings celebrated common roots and mutual respect, emphasizing inner peace as a foundation for outer harmony. Practices like meditation and mindfulness became widespread tools for mental health and self-discovery. Economic systems continued to evolve, emphasizing circular economies, social entrepreneurship, and equitable wealth distribution. The concept of success expanded beyond material gain to include well-being, environmental stewardship, and social justice. Despite lingering challenges, the new Renaissance embodied humanity's capacity to transcend conflict and division. It was a time when technology and spirituality coalesced, empowering individuals and communities to co-create a future aligned with the highest ideals. As this chapter closes, it becomes clear that the new Renaissance is not just a period in history but a continuous awakening, an ongoing invitation to embody love, creativity, and responsibility in every aspect of life. Just as the world began to bask in the glow of the new Renaissance, an unseen threat emerged from the shadows. A sophisticated cyber warfare campaign orchestrated by remnants of the Secret Council and other factions unwilling to relinquish control. This chapter unveils the intensity of this hidden conflict and how it tested the resilience of humanity's newfound unity. The cyber attacks targeted critical infrastructure, power grids, financial systems, communication networks, aiming to sow chaos and distrust. Sophisticated misinformation campaigns accompanied the assaults, aiming to fracture the fragile social fabric rebuilt through years of dialogue and cooperation. Governments and global institutions, though better prepared than in the past, faced challenges in identifying and neutralizing the multifaceted threat. The attacks were adaptive, leveraging artificial intelligence to evolve and evade detection. Cybersecurity experts worked around the clock, employing the very open-source technologies championed by Elon Musk to mount a coordinated defense. Zara's Global Harmony Network became a frontline in the information war, educating millions about digital literacy and critical thinking, helping people discern truth from manipulation. Her message of resilience and mindfulness helped communities maintain cohesion under pressure. Pope Leo XIV addressed the crisis with calm resolve, calling for spiritual fortitude and unity. He framed the conflict as a test of humanity's commitment to love and justice, urging people to resist fear and division. His leadership provided a moral compass amidst uncertainty. Behind the scenes, alliances formed between nations, private sector innovators, and civil society organizations to combat the cyber threat collaboratively. The crisis underscored the importance of transparency, trust, and shared responsibility in safeguarding the digital commons. While the attacks caused disruption and fear, they also galvanized humanity's resolve. The response revealed a deeper strength, that unity forged through empathy and cooperation could withstand even the most insidious challenges. This chapter reveals that progress is never guaranteed and that vigilance, courage, and collective action are essential to protecting the gains of peace and transformation. The unseen threat, while dangerous, ultimately became a catalyst for deeper connection and innovation. As the cyber warfare crisis unfolded, attention returned to the enigmatic sphere that had first sparked Elon Musk's visit to the Vatican. Hidden for centuries within the depths of the Church's archives, the sphere's secrets had begun to reveal themselves through subtle interactions with Zara's meditative insights and Musk's technological expertise. This chapter unveils the discovery of the sphere's true purpose, an ancient key to humanity's collective evolution. The sphere, made of an otherworldly material that defied known physics, emitted faint pulses of energy attuned to human consciousness. Through combined scientific study and spiritual exploration, it became clear the sphere was a catalyst designed to unlock latent human potential, heightening empathy, intuition, and unity among diverse peoples. This revelation ignited excitement and debate within the Vatican and the global community. The sphere was no mere relic but a guide, a beacon meant to help humanity transcend ego-driven conflict and align with a higher collective consciousness. It embodied the synergy between faith and science, spirituality and innovation. Elon Musk's team developed interfaces allowing people worldwide to connect with the sphere's energy fields, amplifying feelings of interconnectedness. Neuroscientific studies demonstrated measurable shifts in brain activity during these interactions, linked to increased compassion and creativity. Zara incorporated the sphere's insights into her teachings, helping individuals access deeper states of awareness and collective harmony. The sphere's influence inspired movements focused on healing trauma, resolving conflicts, and fostering global cooperation. Yet, this breakthrough also attracted renewed scrutiny. Some factions feared the sphere's power, wary of its potential to disrupt established orders or challenge traditional beliefs. Ethical questions arose about its use, ensuring it remained a tool for empowerment rather than control. The Vatican formed an international council combining theologians, scientists, and ethicists to oversee the sphere's study and application. Their guiding principle, the sphere's power must serve humanity's highest good, honoring dignity and freedom. This chapter marks a profound turning point, the fusion of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science offering a tangible path toward unity and peace. The sphere's revelation reinforced the story's central theme, that love, knowledge, and courage together can overcome the greatest challenges. Following the revelation of the sphere's true purpose, a wave of awakening swept across the globe. People from all walks of life began experiencing profound shifts in consciousness, catalyzed by the sphere's energy and the collective efforts of Zara, Elon Musk, and the Vatican's Council. This chapter explores how this awakening transformed societies and individuals alike. Communities reported heightened empathy, greater willingness to collaborate, and a surge in creative problem-solving. Old rivalries softened as individuals connected on deeper levels beyond ideology or nationality. Grassroots initiatives blossomed, tackling environmental restoration, poverty alleviation, and peace-building with renewed vigor. Education systems embraced this new consciousness by integrating emotional intelligence and mindfulness into curricula. Young people, inspired by the movement, became advocates for sustainable living and social justice, driving innovation in technology and governance. Religious institutions, including the Vatican, evolved to emphasize universal values and interfaith harmony, fostering spiritual unity while respecting diversity. Science and spirituality no longer stood apart but complemented each other in the pursuit of understanding. However, the global awakening also challenged individuals to confront their shadows, unresolved fears, prejudices, and traumas surfaced, prompting personal and collective healing. Support systems expanded to provide counseling, meditation centers, and community dialogues. Despite inevitable growing pains, the awakening heralded a shift from separation to interconnectedness. The story illuminated that transformation starts within and radiates outward, reshaping the world through acts of love, courage, and compassion. This chapter celebrates the dawn of a new era, one where humanity embraces its shared destiny with open hearts and minds, moving boldly toward a future of hope and unity. As the global awakening unfolded, the vision of a unified humanity faced its greatest test yet, balancing diversity with cohesion. While the collective consciousness blossomed, differences in culture, belief, and experience remained deeply ingrained. This chapter delves into the complex challenge of forging unity without erasing individuality. The new Renaissance had encouraged cooperation, but it also revealed tensions between global ideals and local traditions. Some communities feared losing their identity in the drive toward universal values. Political factions grappled with the question of governance, how to create systems inclusive enough to represent varied voices yet efficient enough to act decisively. Zara emphasized that true unity respects difference, describing it as a mosaic rather than a melting pot. She taught that embracing diverse perspectives enriched collective wisdom, fostering resilience and innovation. Dialogues across continents explored ways to honor heritage while building shared futures. Elon Musk advocated for decentralized technologies that empower local decision-making within global networks. His projects facilitated transparent, participatory governance models using blockchain and AI, allowing communities to self-govern while contributing to planetary well-being. The Vatican hosted a series of summits inviting leaders from indigenous groups, faith traditions, scientists, and activists to craft principles for inclusive unity. These gatherings fostered humility and listening, recognizing that no single viewpoint held all answers. Despite progress, conflicts persisted, some fueled by economic disparities, others by historical grievances. Yet, the commitment to dialogue and justice prevailed, turning potential fractures into opportunities for growth. This chapter underscores that unity is an ongoing practice requiring patience, empathy, and courage. It is a dance between honoring individuality and nurturing belonging, grounded in mutual respect. Through these efforts, humanity moved closer to realizing the dream first glimpsed in the mysterious sphere, a world where difference and oneness coexist in dynamic harmony. As humanity grappled with the challenge of unity amid diversity, a new institution arose to guide collective decision-making, the Global Council. This chapter explores the formation, structure, and early efforts of this unprecedented body designed to embody transparency, inclusivity, and ethical governance on a planetary scale. Born from years of grassroots collaboration, technological innovation, and diplomatic dialogue, the Global Council combined representatives from every continent, culture, and sector of society. Its members included elected leaders, indigenous elders, scientists, spiritual teachers, and youth activists. Diversity was its foundation and strength. Unlike traditional governments, the Council operated through consensus and advanced AI facilitation, ensuring all voices were heard and decisions reflected the common good. Its mandate was broad: address climate change, economic justice, peacebuilding, and technological ethics while fostering education, health, and cultural flourishing. Elon Musk contributed by integrating secure, transparent digital platforms enabling global participation. Zara's Global Harmony Network served as a communication and educational hub, keeping the public informed and engaged. The Vatican continued to provide moral guidance, advocating for compassion and stewardship. Early initiatives tackled urgent crises, coordinated disaster responses, equitable vaccine distribution, and large-scale environmental restoration. The Council's work was transparent, with real-time reporting and open forums inviting feedback from billions. Challenges emerged, including resistance from factions clinging to old power structures and logistical hurdles managing diverse interests. However, the Council's commitment to humility, adaptability, and service enabled steady progress. This chapter highlights the emergence of a new model of governance, one blending human wisdom, technology, and ethical vision. The Global Council embodied hope that humanity could govern itself with justice and care, transcending the divisions that once seemed insurmountable. As this chapter closes, the narrative reflects on the power of collective leadership grounded in love and responsibility, a beacon for future generations. After the formation of the Global Council, one of its most ambitious and sensitive missions began: the Great Reconciliation. This chapter details the worldwide process of addressing historical injustices, healing wounds of conflict, and forging a collective commitment to peace and justice. Centuries of colonization, war, discrimination, and exploitation had left deep scars across nations and communities. The Council understood that lasting unity required confronting painful truths with honesty and courage. Truth commissions, restorative justice programs, and cultural exchanges became key components of the process. Zara's teachings on compassion and forgiveness inspired individuals and groups to seek healing beyond retribution. Through dialogue circles, survivors shared stories, and perpetrators acknowledged harm, fostering mutual understanding and the possibility of renewal. The Vatican hosted global ceremonies symbolizing repentance and commitment to reconciliation. Pope Leo XIV led prayers for forgiveness and unity, invoking spiritual strength to move beyond resentment and division. Educational reforms integrated histories from multiple perspectives, ensuring younger generations learned about past wrongs with clarity and empathy. Media campaigns promoted narratives of healing and hope, countering cycles of blame and hatred. Economic reparations and social programs addressed systemic inequalities, empowering marginalized communities and creating pathways for participation and dignity. Though difficult and uneven, the Great Reconciliation marked a pivotal turning point. Old enmities softened, replaced by shared aspirations for peace and justice. The chapter emphasizes that reconciliation is an ongoing journey requiring patience, humility, and sustained effort. This chapter closes on the message that healing the past is essential to building a future where all can thrive, a testament to humanity's capacity to transform pain into wisdom and love. With the Great Reconciliation fostering global harmony, humanity stepped fully into what became known as the Age of Conscious Innovation. This chapter explores how technological and scientific progress advanced hand in hand with ethical awareness and spiritual growth, creating transformative changes in every facet of life. Innovators and creators prioritized technologies that enhanced well-being, nurtured the environment, and respected human dignity. Elon Musk's vision matured into collaborative projects developing renewable energy grids, sustainable cities, and next-generation healthcare systems personalized through AI and biotechnology. Education evolved further, blending creativity, emotional intelligence, and technical skills to empower individuals to become responsible innovators and compassionate leaders. The Global Harmony Network served as a nexus for sharing ideas and coordinating global efforts. Research expanded into exploring consciousness itself, understanding brain-mind connections, collective awareness, and the potential for human evolution. Spiritual practices merged with scientific inquiry, revealing profound insights into the nature of reality and interconnectedness. Economic systems transformed, embracing circular economies and regenerative models that restored ecosystems and distributed resources equitably. Social entrepreneurship thrived, with communities designing solutions tailored to their unique needs and contexts. Governance adapted, guided by the Global Council's principles of transparency, participation, and accountability. AI-assisted decision-making enhanced efficiency while safeguarding human values. The age of conscious innovation symbolized humanity's maturation, technology serving as a tool to manifest the highest ideals rather than mere profit or power. It marked a balance between progress and wisdom, external achievement and inner growth. This chapter concludes with a vision of a world where innovation is an expression of love, creativity, and responsibility, illuminating the path toward a sustainable and joyful future. As humanity flourished in the age of conscious innovation, the ancient sphere remained a symbol and catalyst of transformation. This chapter delves into the lasting legacy of the sphere, how its discovery reshaped not only technology and spirituality but also the very fabric of human identity and destiny. The sphere became more than a relic, it was a living emblem of the potential unlocked when science and faith converge in harmony. Across the globe, museums, spiritual centers, and research institutes honored the sphere's message of unity, empathy, and courage. Generations grew up learning the history of the sphere's discovery and the pivotal role it played in guiding humanity through its darkest and brightest moments. It inspired art, literature, philosophy, and public policy, embedding values of compassion and collaboration in cultural consciousness. The Vatican, through its archives and outreach programs, ensured the sphere's teachings remained accessible, encouraging ongoing dialogue between tradition and innovation. Educational systems incorporated experiential learning around the sphere's energies, fostering emotional intelligence and ethical discernment. Scientific exploration continued to probe the sphere's mysteries, expanding understanding of consciousness and the interconnected nature of reality. Ethical frameworks developed to ensure the sphere's power was wielded responsibly, with respect for individual freedom and collective well-being. The legacy of the sphere became a guiding star, reminding humanity of its capacity to transcend limitations and co-create a future rooted in love and wisdom. It symbolized hope, an enduring testament that even ancient mysteries hold keys to contemporary challenges. This chapter closes by reflecting on how the sphere's legacy invites every individual to participate in the ongoing story of human evolution, inspiring courage to face the unknown and faith in the power of unity. Just as humanity embraced the legacy of the sphere and flourished in the age of conscious innovation, an unexpected challenge arose that would put all progress to the ultimate test. This chapter reveals how a global crisis, unlike any before, demanded humanity's collective wisdom, compassion, and resilience to overcome. A sudden cosmic event, a powerful solar storm combined with a rare gravitational anomaly, threatened to disrupt technology, communication, and energy systems worldwide. The event posed risks not only to infrastructure but also to the fragile harmony humanity had built. The Global Council swiftly coordinated an unprecedented response, mobilizing scientists, spiritual leaders, and communities to prepare and mitigate damage. Elon Musk's advanced technologies provided early warning systems and resilient energy grids designed to withstand such phenomena. Zara guided people to cultivate inner calm and collective focus, emphasizing that fear and division would only deepen the crisis. Her teachings encouraged global meditation and coordinated intention setting to support healing and resilience. Religious and cultural leaders united in prayers and rituals, fostering a shared sense of purpose transcending beliefs. This spiritual solidarity became a source of strength amid uncertainty. Despite intense challenges, humanity's coordinated efforts minimized damage and accelerated recovery. The crisis reinforced the lessons of interconnectedness, reminding all that individual actions ripple across the collective. This chapter closes with a powerful message: true progress is measured not only by achievement but by the ability to face adversity with grace, unity, and hope. In the aftermath of the final test, humanity emerged transformed, its bonds stronger and its vision clearer than ever. This concluding chapter reflects on the journey from mystery and conflict to unity and hope, celebrating the lessons learned and the path ahead. The cosmic event had challenged every system, technological, social, spiritual, but it also revealed the depth of humanity's resilience and compassion. The Global Council's leadership, guided by transparency and shared responsibility, had proven the power of collective governance rooted in love and wisdom. Elon Musk's innovations in resilient infrastructure and ethical technology became models worldwide, demonstrating how human ingenuity aligned with care can build a sustainable future. Zara's Global Harmony Network continued to nurture empathy, mindfulness, and creative collaboration across cultures. The Vatican's embrace of openness and dialogue exemplified the possibility of faith and science working hand in hand, inspiring individuals to seek truth with humility and courage. The sphere's legacy lived on as a symbol of hope, a reminder that ancient wisdom and modern knowledge together light the way forward. Communities worldwide celebrated the new dawn with festivals, art, and storytelling, honoring their shared journey and diverse identities. Education, governance, and culture thrived in a dynamic balance of individuality and unity. This final chapter leaves readers with a profound life lesson. Life's greatest challenges can awaken humanity's highest potentials, and love remains the guiding force in creating a future of peace and possibility. As the story closes, the question posed at the beginning echoes anew: what if you suddenly lost everything and had no one by your side? The answer is found in the courage to connect, to rebuild, and to believe that love will always lead the way. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?